Uh, this is one of our initiatives where we try to bring in other faculty from other institutions. And we thought this was one such session where we, whatever we are doing, we need to share our learning and teaching with other institutions, national institutions especially. And so I think for today's session, we actually had lots of registrations from many, I think you told me that there are some 68 non-FCCU registrants from 8 cities across Pakistan, and actually 4 registrants from other countries, though we did not want to send it outside. But I think we put it on LinkedIn, and that's where from India and Afghanistan, I think we have 4 registrants. So we are very happy. Welcome to all that have joined so far. And I see that there are only 35, and perhaps they'll join by and by. We are, we do this sharing as a part of our knowledge equity and of peer learning and sharing. Today we are talking about Fulbright. And Fulbright has been in the doldrums for the past few months. The US changed its policy. There was a lot of furor and there was a lot of confusion. And so it has, but we see that there have been some changes in the governance, administration, and perhaps process of how things work. And I think we are very, very lucky to have with us Salim Razak from Islamabad. He has kindly joined us, not only to clarify the confusion that has occurred, but of course to talk about the April 1 deadline and how we are going to prepare for that. We have also, here I would like to also give immense thanks to Farasat. She is our chairperson of Mass Communication Department, herself an alum of Fulbright. And she did her PhD, I think you did it from Clemson University, and your focus was on rhetoric, communication, and cultural studies, which makes it very transdisciplinary in scope. And so she has organized the session. She has got our panelists who will she introduce as the talk progresses. And so over to the panelists, our esteemed panelists, and over to you, Farasat, for the conduct of the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Rukhsana. Let me share my screen before I begin. Can you all see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Just give me a minute.
Light view kar lein.
Hanji, that's what I was doing. Okay. All right. Hello, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. Let me begin by saying thanks to our panelists who have joined us today for this presentation. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for your willingness to share your experiences and your perspectives, your ideas with us. I'm sure they are going to be helpful for our participants for their application processes. We have the honor of having Mr. Salim Razak with us, the Programs Director of United States Educational Foundation in Pakistan, also known as USEFP. He has joined us from Islamabad. I want to begin with the caveat that I'm assuming that we may have some questions related to Fulbright postdoc program, also known as Fulbright Scholar Program. However, none of our panelists here has firsthand experience in that specific program. That program follows a different timeline. Its call for application comes in summer, and the deadline is in the month of October. But we are very fortunate to have Mr. Salim Razak, who is Programs Director of USEFP. And I have known Mr. Razak since 2013 when I won Fulbright Scholarship, and I met him at Fulbright Center, Prometric Center in Lahore for the welcome orientation. So he's fully knowledgeable about all the programs that USCFP manages for Fulbright. So he should be able to answer questions if we have any. Well, let me begin with the brief introduction of panelists. I'll be the first presenter, and I did my PhD with the support of Fulbright from Clemson University in 2019. After me, our second presenter will be Dr. Sharoon Hanouk. who did his PhD with Fulbright from Case Western Reserve University. Dr. Hanouk is a faculty member and chair statistics department at Forman Christian College. Our third presenter is then Dr. Subha Mir, who did her PhD from Louisiana State University in 2022, and she's a faculty member at English department in Forman Christian College. Then our fourth presenter is Mr. Salim Razak, who is Programs Director at USEFP. So the plan is that for our first three presenters will speak for about 7-8 minutes, totaling 25 minutes, and then we'll let Mr. Salim Razak speak, who will share institutional perspectives and insights from USEFP. Very briefly, these are the areas that will be covered by our panelists. I'll give Fulbright introduction and talking about the big picture, what is eligibility criteria, what the grant covers, application prerequisites, and then Dr. Sharoon Hanouk in his presentation will talk about application components. Dr. Mir will talk about how to handle interview skillfully and confidently. And then lastly, Mr. Salim Razak will share USCFP insights, as I mentioned earlier. Well, let me begin with my presentation. For my part of my presentation, I'll only talk about eligibility criteria and application prerequisites. The flyer that you see on the screen, it's the same flyer that is available on USCFP websites, and also the same information that came out on national level dailies for advertisement. So the call for applications this year came out a couple months ago, and the application deadline is going to be April the 1st, 2026. Fulbright is actually the flagship scholarship program for the Department of State, and it operates in 160 countries, and we are fortunate that in Pakistan since 2005 it has biggest scholarship program. And a Higher Education Commission, HEC, also collaborates for the funding of some of the PhD applicants. That's the information that I gathered from USEFP website. In my experience, it's a rich scholarship. If awarded, it covers pretty much everything. When you are awarded Fulbright scholarship, they cover your tuition fee, for both for masters and for PhD. They give you they cover your airfare. For PhD students during my days, they used to cover a mid-program travel allowance as well, which means when you are halfway through your PhD program, Fulbright usually gives you funds to go back to your country, and they actually encourage you to use that money to engage any research activity, maybe if you want to be in your home country for data collection or any field experience. Fulbright also gives you money for textbooks, which is in addition to a monthly stipend that you get. And at the start of every semester, fall semester and spring semester, Fulbright gives you a substantial amount to buy books and educational resources that are necessary for you. Now, Fulbright also covers health insurance. Those of us who have been to the US, and I think most of us know that this is something that is very essential for your presence in the US. So you are fully covered by the Fulbright program when you are awarded a scholarship. They give you money for buying technology, computer. And the last thing is very important. Fulbright also gives you relocation funds. They understand that when you are awarded and when the person goes to the US to begin their degree program, it's a big change. It's a big move. It's not just country to country, it's continent to continent. So they give you relocation funds, which are very helpful. Eligibility requirements. All Pakistani citizens are eligible to apply for this scholarship. And it's important for the person to be in the country during the whole application process. Those who are interested in applying for a master's degree, they should have 16 years of education on their CV. So let's say if you have done 12 years for intermediate, then 4 years for your BS degree. And for those, 10 or 20 years ago, they used to have a 2-year conventional degree. With that, if you have a 2-year master's degree as well. So if your educational experience is totaling for 16 years, you are eligible to apply for master's degree with this program. And those who want to apply for a PhD degree, they should have 18 years of education. Fulbright, this application, all are welcome to apply, or people from all disciplines can apply. However, those who come from business background, those who want to go for studying business or public administration or public policy, there is an additional requirement for them. They should have 2 years of work experience alongside their degree. So again, all disciplines are welcome to apply. The only exception here is clinical medicine. Well, it doesn't mean that people who have an MBBS degree cannot apply. They certainly can apply for programs like health communication or public health, but not clinical medicine. Here I'm going to talk about application prerequisites. GRE is the most important, graduate record examination is the most important prerequisite for Fulbright application. So the minimum requirement, so we all know that it has two sections. There is verbal section and then quantitative sections. The minimum requirement to apply for Fulbright is 145, which means you should have more than 145 in each section, in both verbal and quantitative, for your Fulbright application. However, it's also important for you to have a higher score in your relevant field. So let's say I am in the field of communication. For me, they will give more weightage to score in verbal section, which means it is expected from me that I should have a higher score in verbal section as compared to quantitative section of GRE. Well, for TOEFL, I want to clarify, there several people think that TOEFL 2 is a requirement for Fulbright application. Fulbright is not, candidates are not required to take Fulbright when they apply for this scholarship. However, if after the review process, if your application is shortlisted, then you can be, a Fulbright team will contact you and they will ask you to bring a proof of registration at the time of your interview, which again means that you're not required to take this test with your application. For GRE, ideally, you should have taken GRE a month or a couple months before you apply for this grant, and you should send your official scores. However, it is okay if you haven't taken your, if you take, let's say you take the test a week before the application or a couple of weeks. In that case, what you can do is you can write your unofficial scores in your application and you can attach your proof of registration as an evidence for the Fulbright team. So these are application prerequisites. This was all for my presentation. I'll now pass it over to Dr. Sharon Hanouk, who will talk about application components.
Hello, everyone. Am I audible? All right, that's great. So it's wonderful to be here, and thank you so much for having me here in this session. I know I have a very short time, so I'll be really quick and jump onto the key aspects of my segment. It is certainly the application components, which is one of the very significant part of this whole journey that you will start with Fulbright from now onwards. Certainly, this is a process that shouldn't be done like within a span of a week or so. You should understand that Fulbright application is a very significant document that actually going to impact not only the decision of Fulbright to grant you the scholarship, but it also it's a document that will be viewed by the universities where you will be seeking admission later on. So you really want to spend a significant amount of time on preparing these applications. So a couple of aspects I want to highlight is the first one is that a lot of people that I've seen, they just apply to the Fulbright without really understanding the advertisement. I would highly recommend, please take time to actually go through what Fulbright advertise, because every year there is certain areas which are considered as kind of like preference for the Fulbright. So you really want to have your, and this is something that's actually going to directly influence your study objectives, because those are the study areas you want to focus on. Secondly, regarding the statement of purpose, I'll be very quick that you know uh, Fulbright is a cultural exchange program as well, and so you really have to demonstrate that you will be an effective cultural ambassador. And it's a statement of purpose is one of the very important document that actually can lay it out more effectively. And you know, firstly, you need to understand the mission of the Fulbright, and then the area of expertise. And one thing you need to make sure that you start your statement of purpose with a very compelling introduction of you, and then briefly highlighting your academics and your life experiences. Keep one thing in mind in the whole application, whether you're doing it for Fulbright or even directly applying for to the universities in the US. Something that I've learned from my experience, though it's quite a long time ago, but I do remember that once we prepare our applications for the Fulbright, we were asked that, okay, now your application is ready to be applied directly to the universities in the US. So do not stop up to this Fulbright point. Start applying to other universities, because this is a whole process of preparing your applications. So in this application, your concrete examples are always play a very vital role. While you're writing your statement of purpose, you have to come up with your lived experiences, that how these experiences, your academic background, and your future goals have shaped this whole application. And your statement of purpose should definitely talk about the long-term goals, that how, while once you return back to Pakistan after this experience, how you will be able to contribute into Pakistani society. As well as while you are there, you need to demonstrate it. I mean, I'll just give my example that I was involved in sports. I was involved in university societies. I was involved in a lot of other community work. I actually get to highlight all those things, and those aspects have actually helped me shape my whole statement of purpose, because it's kind of statement of purpose is your life story. That should be compelling argument to convince the evaluators at Fulbright as well as in the university you are applying to help you, get this scholarship or approve those admissions. So one thing else I would like to highlight it that this is what I've seen. I mean, being in academia for so many years, we are really good at creating good stories, but I always appreciate people to be realistic. You gotta be very specific, very realistic. Do not make up the stories, but share the truth and true experiences of yours in there. And one last thing about statement of purpose is you better start early. Some people spend couple of months and maybe years to write out their statement of purpose. And you prepare one, revise, edit, seek feedback from seniors, from your professors, from someone who is already, who have already, obtained the scholarship as well as have studied in the US universities. Seek their feedback on your statement of purpose, because this is document that's actually going to represent you in front of the panel prior to your interview and any other process. Second aspect is the clarity on study objectives that I want to highlight. That study objective as well. Please do not make one study objective and send it to every single university. You should be very specific about it. You plan a whole study and then be very specific about your study objectives. It should demonstrate that you actually know what you are talking about. You have it done properly. Talk with your supervisors, talk with your professors in your universities where you are studying at right now or you are working as well. That and I mean the areas of expertise should be very clear, and know this that I'm not sure, this is not my area and not my experience, but I would just like to make a comment on this, that Fulbright might not look at the Fulbright panel, USCF panel might not look at your study objective as rigorously, but the universities where you're applying to, they are actually going to be very serious about it, about this document. They actually want to make sure that the area of expertise that you want to bring or you want to study at, we are able to offer those. So this is also going to help you define the universities that you're gonna apply you're gonna apply to. Then quickly, I'll go to the choosing references strategically. Please, this is where a lot of people make mistakes, that they pick up all teachers, they are their favorite ones, and they might pick up their relatives as well. They might pick up the people they are very comfortable with. But you always need to make sure that at least you if you have done research in your undergraduate studies or in your graduate school, you better bring your research supervisor to talk about your research expertise. You actually want to highlight your aspects of your life, and while writing letter of recommendations, ask the recommenders to give a very specific examples, that if they are saying that you perform your task in a very timely fashion, if they can give an example to it, that is always a great way to write letter of recommendations. And last thing, demonstration of academic preparation. For this, please know this: what degrees you are applying to, what are the requirements of the university, admission requirement of those universities out there. And furthermore, uh, obviously, I always say as an academic that CGPA is not all that you require in the university, but know this: CGPA is one of the very strong benchmark that we all look at. It is always a first, entry point. If I need to hire someone, the very first thing I look at is CGPA. But once you are into it, then your expertise, your experiences will matter most. So have a good academic background in your bachelor's, in your master's as well. But know one important thing: for Fulbright, you do not have to have 4 CGPA, or you do not have to have A grades throughout your career. Even if you have B's or C's, you still can apply and get the Fulbright. I do know people who have gotten it, and I would highly encourage everyone to apply, because a lot of people, they just think that their academic background is not good enough to seek Fulbright. Please do that. You never know. You are very involved into the community, and that can help you, because someone who is engaged with the community in a lot of ways, they are actually, to my understanding, they are the best applicants for Fulbright. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sharoon. Our next panelist now is Dr. Mir, who will talk about interview handling. Let me share my screen because Dr. Mir will use the slides that has areas listed she will be talking about. Well, Dr. Mir, over to you.
Okay. Hi, can you hear me? Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Firasat and Dr. Sharoon. My knowledge, of course, is a bit old, so I'm so glad Mr. Sleem is here to correct me if there is any updated information on that. I'll be talking about interview parts. So first of all, I want to talk about that. A bunch of things have already been mentioned that I want to underscore once again is that when you're called for interview, that is when you're supposed to register for TOEFL. A lot of students I have seen are excited to take TOEFL before because they think it's easier than GRE, whereas GRE is really valid for 5 years and TOEFL only for 2, and you're not supposed to register it until you get the interview call. So I would request you to follow that pattern. Second thing that a lot of people don't know is that when you're sitting in the waiting hall, you are asked to write a small essay which is evaluated there, and sometimes you're asked questions from it. At least that's what happened in my interview. And especially in today's age and time when people use AI a lot, so you should be very careful and use information and resources smartly, because you will be judged on your writing over there, and it will be compared to check authenticity of your application material. Your entire application is assessed, and usually each part by a different person. So just as Dr. Hanouk mentioned, that each part is important. So do not just think that you can just focus on, let's say, personal statement and just wing the rest, but make sure to work on it equally, because panel has usually 4 to 6 people, and you are assessed for an interview no matter where you go in any domain of public speaking from the minute you enter the room. So your attire, your body language, your breathing, whether you're sweating, you're fidgeting, everything is noticeable when you're sitting on the other side of the table. So I would suggest you to wear professional clothes, yet comfortable clothes. So something that suits the weather, that makes you comfortable, and do not fidget too much. When we are sitting on a revolving chair, it is our tendency to just keep moving or keep fidgeting. Do not do that. When you're asked a question, just focus that question person, answer to that person. There is no need to nervously keep picking on other people or keep fidgeting. Just stay focused, stay calm, and wear and dress accordingly. Structure your answers. So answer structuring, make sure you read entire application, because most of the questions are asked from it. And when you're asked a question, take a moment to understand the question and then respond. There is no need to rush and get out of breath and just to fill that gap. Be comfortable with that gap of a moment where you listen to the question, you understand it, and then you respond to it. Another point that has already been mentioned by Dr. Hanouk, and I want to underscore it once again, and I often say that simple words at times complicate matters, meaning that we use words like beautiful, energetic, dynamic, masterful, like that. We just throw it in there to sound impressive. However, a lot of times you should be very alert about using these words in a way that when you're talking about being dynamic. You can be asked, like, how do you think you're dynamic? Can you give an example? So be sure to use those words consciously, okay? Then again, there is no harm in asking if you do not understand the question, or asking them to rephrase or repeat the question instead of giving a wrong answer. Again, I'm not asking you to ask every question, but what you do not understand, it's okay to be like, can you please rephrase it, or are you trying to say this? Avoid sweeping or generalized statements that you are going to change the world. Well, it is not humanly possible. So stay realistic, stay grounded, and say whatever you can prove as well. Again, make sure you are clear about your post-return plans in Pakistan. So I'm also going to underscore once again that Fulbright requires you to come to Pakistan after completion of your degree. So if you are not, that is not part of your plan, there are other ways of seeking direct admission. However, Fulbright is a very prestigious scholarship, and I want to say it on this platform that when I was there, even my American friends would be like, what do you get? I want that scholarship, because it is a very holistic, very prestigious financially, socially, in every way. The community it provides you, it's amazing. Then managing anxiety. So you can try mock interviews with people who have appeared in front of the panel or have general interviewing experience. That really helps calm you down, makes you confident. Also, a lot of people get nervous and they tend to work on empty stomach. So make sure you have a proper meal. So you don't feel nauseous, or you don't feel, drained when it is your interview time. Workout, yes, in order to get rid of any nervous energy, you can work out or walk it away before coming to the interview. And very important in life and for this interview as well, in order to manage your anxiety as well, is to get to the place early, interact with and talk to people in the waiting room. Some of the connections that I have made and I'm still in touch with are the people I met in that Fulbright waiting room, because we had the same ambition. I'm still in touch with them, and it is amazing. So make sure that also helps you calm down. Then pattern that usually happens inside the interview, in case there is nobody to take your mock interview, what you can do is, repeat questions in your head. So the pattern that is in there, you're asked to introduce yourself. Then there's somebody asking questions from your personal statement, research statement, reference letters, and future plans. These are usually the areas that are touched. I also want to underscore, because in Pakistan, reference letters are not considered very important at most of the places. However, internationally in the US, reference letters hold a lot of importance. So yes, make sure to get them written from a person who knows your professional work well, not just knows you well, but also mainly knows your professional work and can give tangible, proper examples of your work and can prove the words. You can also keep questions in mind, because sometimes at the end you're asked, like, do you have any question? So it's a two-way deal. It's not like, you cannot ask any question. For example, I asked about the teaching opportunities. Would I get those teaching opportunities in the different environment in the US university? You can have your own questions pertaining to your field. Practice till you're good, make your story interesting and your answer convincing. So do you think, you have to ask yourself this question, do you think your answers make sense and deliver the promise? Well, what I'm trying to say is that, would you give yourself the Fulbright? If yes, then I guess you're ready. You should practice and prepare yourself till that point. I recently came across this video for public speaking. I'm gonna just post it in the comments if it helps you guys. And if we have any other question, please feel free to ask. Thank you so much.
Rasat, unmute kar le. We cannot hear you. Sorry.
Sorry.
You'll
Well,
have to start all over again.
thank you. Thank you, Dr. Mir, for sharing your thoughts on interview handling. I'm sure they are going to be helpful for most of us, especially those who get butterflies in their stomach before the interview. Well, our next panelist now is Mr. Salim Razak. Salim Saab, if you can share your thoughts, especially on questions related to, most of our postgrad and undergrad students are also attending this session. So if you can answer questions like, what if I cannot afford GRE, considering exchange rate, it's an expensive exam. Also, what's the process for placement in US universities, and these kind of questions. Thank you.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you very much for the invitation. Thank you for the CLT team, Dr. Ruxana, Dr. Farasat, Dr. Mir, and Dr. Harun. Sharon, glad to see you all in one place after a long time. And thank you very much
We
for
must
giving
meet
me
in
this
person,
opportunity.
if I may butt in there. We look forward to seeing you here in Lahore sometime.
Sure, inshallah. So I would like to use my limited time as efficiently as possible. I know I've already written almost 20 points. But thank you very much for the complete, our Fulbrighters, all three of them. I believe that if the students, those who are our prospective Fulbright applicants this year, those who are listening to you, if they follow all the instructions and guidelines you have provided, they just need to give me their names right now. They are crossed the first one or two ladders of the selection process. So if they have fulfilled your instructions. Now, first of all, I'll just start talking about myths and misconceptions here. First of all, let me be very clear about this quota system. Fulbright does not have any quota. There's a huge myth always. It's been years that we try to just get rid of this myth that there is a quota on Fulbright. So please be very clear. There isn't any quota, any gender quota, any regional or any discipline. It's not like that we need to send 20% engineers every year or 30% of social science students. No, it's not like that. It's a merit-based open competition. If you fulfill the requirement, you have completed your GRE, send us the report, and then it's an open competition. TOEFL, like Dr. Firasat and Dr. Mir, they were telling you that once you get shortlisted, you will be asked to take TOEFL. We have changed it for last couple of years. Now, once you get selected, then we give you free vouchers to take TOEFL, because again, TOEFL is also a very expensive exam these days, like GRE is. We do realize that GRE is a very expensive exam. And before moving on, let me talk a little more about GRE. That the first question that I received from Dr. Farasad was also that if somebody can't afford GRE. But again, this Fulbright is like everybody was before me, panelists, was telling you that this is a very prestigious, and it's everything paid, fully paid, say, scholarship program to have to get a degree from the United States. So it's if we convert it from today's rate, dollar rupee parity, for the master's degree of 2 years, it's almost $100,000, which comes to almost what, 3 crore rupees for masters, and you can easily double that for the PhD. So once you are aiming for such a high reward, this is the only expense that GRE that you need to make it from your own pocket. The only. Once you get selected, there isn't, everything will be paid. Your tuition, which everybody has already told you. So for the GRE also, when you send us the application, if you are serving or studying at a public sector university anywhere in Pakistan, you can request the reimbursement. Although it's not unlimited, with the limited funds, it's on available on first come first service basis. So please do send us your application if you are working in a public sector university or you are studying in a public sector university. So please do send us every year 30 to 35 people, the lucky people, those they get their reimbursements, GRE reimbursements. But as I told you earlier, that with the limited funds, this is what we can do. For tackling the GRE, there is another catch in it, that don't go, it's an expensive exam. Don't go for the registration straight away. Please, there are mock tests available online on our website also. Then the GRE preparation classes on our YouTube, USEFP YouTube channel. There are 2 weeks of preparation, all video recorded. They are available on our YouTube channel also. And once you take a mock test, see how much preparation do you need. Whether you need 2 years, two weeks of preparation, 1 week, 1 month, whatever it is. And this mock test will cost you only $3, which is around 800 to 900 rupees. Okay, so once you are clear, you realize how much preparation do you need for the GRE. Then once you are ready, then go for and get yourself registered and pay the fees online. Moving on, the next thing is that Fulbright is once in a lifetime degree. If you get a master's Fulbright scholarship for the master's program, you cannot apply for the Fulbright PhD after your completion of master's. So it's one degree in a lifetime. Now I'll talk about the merit that as we see it. Dr. Sharon was pretty comprehensive in his quick presentation also about the statement of purpose and everything else. Yes, statement of purpose is very important. But again, like GRE, CGPA, statement of purpose, it's not that one thing that we see. As a Fulbrighter, as you can see on screen, all these Fulbrighters, and I think they can vouch for my statement, that we look a leadership quality in a Fulbrighter. So these are the people that we are looking for, not necessarily. If it would have been only CGPA, like in most cases here in Pakistan, unfortunately, CGPA is considered as the merit, but we don't see CGPA as only the single factor. CGPA, your GRE scores, your personal statement, your application, your study objectives. Study objectives, Dr. Sharon has talked comprehensively about it. But for the personal statement, I would suggest that please also work harder on your personal statement. Personal statement is your life story. It's basically the art of storytelling. How do you tell it? My belief is that every person, every human being in this world has a different story to tell. How he or she tells it is a different. That's what matters. So it's your personal statement, is your personal life story. Your CGPA is it is what it is. You cannot go back in time and change your CGPA, obviously. So if you work harder on GRE, that's what we see in an applicant. That this person, for any reason, didn't have GRE very competitive CGPA, but worked hard for the GRE and scored high in the GRE test. So it shows the resilience of an applicant. That's what we see in an applicant. Again, and then moving on quickly to the next obligations and return requirement. This is a US government funded program, and also government of Pakistan is chipping in with their funds for the PhD through HEC. So you will be traveling to the United States on J1 exchange visitor visa, which is has a requirement of 2-year residency requirement for the masters. And then for every exchange visitor, you need to come back to Pakistan and complete the residency requirement here in Pakistan. Then, because HEC is also involved, for all the PhD candidates, you need to sign a bond with HEC, which requires you to be here in Pakistan and serve here in Pakistan for 5 years. Otherwise, visa requirement, residency requirement is only for 2 years. And during those 2 years, it does not mean that you cannot go anywhere in the world. You can even go back to the United States on your visit visa or another student visa. In those 2 years, you cannot apply for US immigrant visa or work visa of any kind to the US. For a shorter period of time, you can go to anywhere in the world. People go for their Umrah, people go for their player visit. It's fine. But as soon as you leave Pakistan, your residency requirement stops there. And when you come back, it resumes again. So 2-year residency requirement is basically the J1 visitor exchange requirement. And it also applies on your dependents. If you're taking your dependents along on J2 visa to the United States, this residency requirement also applies on them. Moving forward, process of placement in US universities. There is a page in the application. I would suggest at this point, that even if you are not thinking about applying this year, you think you are not prepared or ready enough to go for this competition this year, maybe next year, after more preparations, please go and download our application. The blank application is available these days on our website. Download the application, go through it. It's a 22 pages application. I know. We realize that it's an intimidating document, a long document. But in most of the pages, there's a lot of repetition. We are asking for your name, and then we are asking for your host university here in Pakistan, your CGP, and all those things, your personal information. But 2-3 things are very important. One, personal statement. Second is your study objectives. And third is your recommendation for the university, your preferences. When you are writing the preferences of your US universities, be very clear about it. We are not bound to honor your preferences. We'll try if they are reasonable and match your academic credentials. Because with the help of our partner agency in the US, which is Institute of International Education, IIE, they are responsible for the placement of all the Fulbrighters from all over the world in US universities. So at the time of final placement, the decision will be made by USEFP in consultation with IIE and sometimes with Washington State Department also, ECA also. So be very clear in your preferences because my experience says that most of the time when we read application and preferences, we go to the preferred universities pages. It starts from Harvard and going down to Yale, Princeton, UCLA, Berkeley, MIT. So honestly, not even every US national student can go to these universities. Who doesn't want to go to Harvard? But not everybody can go there, and not necessarily Harvard is number one in every field, not necessarily in your field. So please be very careful. Give it a thorough research and thought. Talk to your peers, talk to your teachers, the professionals in your own field. the known professionals, and talk to them before you are giving your recommendation for the universities. Okay, and referees, that is also very important. Your recommendation, reference letters are also very important. And you people are from FC and other universities, you are lucky that you have Fulbrighters there. They know how to write the recommendation letter. Please, if they are in the same field, they are teaching you or in the same field, please go talk to them. Because unfortunately, we see that there are still a lot of institutions here in Pakistan where teachers and referees, they ask the students to write their own reference letters. They say that, okay, yaar, लिख कर ले आओ, हम sign कर देंगे. Please don't go for that. Do not. And then there are some cyclo-style formatted reference letters available here in Pakistan, which are being issued to the students, unfortunately, which says that this he or she is one of the most obedient and punctual student of our class of this college. No, we don't need that. Honestly, we don't care if you are not obedient. We don't care if you are not punctual. Your teachers have already made you punctual, and otherwise, in the US, they'll make you punctual. They'll give you the assignments with the strict deadlines, and they'll make you punctual and they'll make you obedient. You are not going to get the Fulbright on your obedience and punctuality alone. So, like Dr. Sharon said, that reference letters should be very meticulously written, giving something about your work, about your quality, that you are among the top 3 of the class, or something like that. Worked on an assignment before anyone else submitted your assignment. Your assignment is always complete. So, and anything like that. Okay. Each and every application is read here. Preliminary review is done within USEFP for the eligibility and eligibility. Then there is always, every year, we assemble a pool of independent reviewers from our alumni pool, a big, large alumni pool we have here in Pakistan. And every application will be read twice by the experts in their own fields. And they will score your application accordingly. There will be a score sheet which changes every year, which will be given to your reviewers. So please write your application yourself. We know there's a lot of help available these days. Our alumni also, which is good that they are, if voluntarily, helping their students. Second, AI do get help with these tools. They are there to assist you. But write your own application, because like Dr. Mir has explained it very beautifully, that in your interview, you'll be asked questions from your application. So it should be written by yourself. You should know what is in your application. And another important point is each and every application will go through the plagiarism check. We have started it just for the last 2-3 years. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. Once when you send your application to us. Second, when we send your applications to IAE for the placement. And third, when IAE submits your application to the different US universities. So at any stage, if your application is caught in a plagiarism check, your application will be withdrawn. Even if you have already received the Fulbright grant, your application will be withdrawn. Okay, so be very careful about your filling out your application. There are few. If I have a little more time, then let me touch upon one more thing which is very important. I know the Fulbrighters sitting here at FC College and some other universities, most of our Fulbright alumni, they are voluntarily helping people with their applications, guiding them, mentoring them. But there are also news in the market that we hear every year that people are also charging for these services. Please don't go to them. I know some of them are boasting every year that 30% of this year's cohort got consultation from us or something like that. That is not true. That is not true. So please go to the people, Fulbrighters, alumni, those who are voluntarily doing this, They are, because they'll be guiding you only. They are not going to do any work for you or writing it for you. Okay, that was the most important point. I kept it for the as a last point for my talk. Now I'm open for the questions. Any questions, please? Anything related to the postdoctoral research or whatever. I'm afraid that you all know that unfortunately we don't have undergraduate semester exchange program anymore. It was stopped last year during these days in winter somewhere, February or March. So that is very unfortunate. That was the most popular program that we were administering here. But still, Fulbright is flagship. It's going on. People are always worried about Fulbright, whether it's going down or going up or whatever. Yes, the numbers have reduced a little bit. And one thing I always say about Fulbright is that Fulbright is still going on, though slowly, but still. So let's hope that one day we'll get other programs back also, including undergrad semester exchange. So please, I'm open for the questions.
Thank you, Salim Saab. We do have a couple questions here. So the first question is from a student at FC College, and she is asking that she wants to apply for film and television production. So uh, should she instead work on a video, since she wants to apply for film studies? So I think the main purpose in your study objectives is to demonstrate readiness for the program. But Salim Saab, if you can respond to that question, I think her question is if she should write her study objectives keeping in view the funding agency or the grad school.
Okay. First of all, it's a very good question. Most importantly, we don't need your portfolio with your application. If you have a good portfolio with you, and you can always send it to us as an attachment in an email, or if you have a hard copy, then you can bring your portfolio at the time of the interview if you get selected. But I believe that interview panel members, they won't have enough time. So with the application, we don't need your portfolio. You can write it down in a narrative way. Once you get selected, at the time of your placement, submission of your application to the different universities, I'm sure that IIE will be asking for your portfolio or video. So that will be the point when USEFP comes to you and asks for your video or portfolio or whatever to submit it to the universities. So from the point of view that you are making your portfolio or video with keeping Fulbright in mind or the institution that we are going to apply for you. So please keep the institutions that you prefer to go to in your mind when you are making your portfolio. Not necessarily Fulbright because it's not a requirement of the Fulbright with your application. I hope I have answered your question.
I would like to add a bit to it. Thank you so much, Salim Sab. You are very eloquent in this. And I agree that Fulbright doesn't require any sort of portfolios, but my just an advice to you is that have an e-portfolio for such kind of a things, and you can always make it a part of your statement of purpose where you are talking about your work. So, you can give this link there where anyone can access it. And certainly Fulbright might not look at it, but the universities, they will certainly check that out. I do have experience with a couple of my students in the past. They have actually given the links to their work. They wanna display as a proof, as an evidence, and giving evidence to every thing you state, whether it's your statement of purpose, your study objectives, or even in your references. That's always gonna be helpful.
Thank you, thank you, Salim Saab and Dr. Sharoon. So someone is asking about the standardized test TOEFL. So is it okay if they can take IELTS or Duolingo, or is it only TOEFL that they require?
First of all, again, like we were talking about, that TOEFL is not the requirement with the application. As I told earlier, once you get selected, we'll issue you the free voucher to take TOEFL test. TOEFL is the most preferred exam by the US universities. IELTS is mostly for the UK and UK and Australian universities. There are several universities now, those who have started accepting IELTS score in the US also. But TOEFL is the most preferred test, and TOEFL will ask you to take TOEFL once you get selected, and we'll provide you the free vouchers.
Thank you. There is another person who is asking about the use of AI for developing essays and application. How would you respond to that?
I know we can say that don't use these tools, but again, like I said earlier, that these are the tools to assist you. So keep them only up to the assistance, because I believe that all these faculty members here and other faculty members, those who are listening to me and those who are in the business of going through the several applications every year, I believe that once you start reading applications or essays or assignments, after 20-30 pages, you get to identify that how much AI is being used here. Although there are different prompts, it's up to the giving them the prompts, but these are only as tools for the assistance. So I'll again reiterate, emphasize that please use them as the tools only. There's no match and no substitute that you share your essay, both essays, with your peer or mentor or any other previous Fulbright alumni.
Yeah, I would like to add to it. Sorry, Dr. Prasad.
Okay.
Just quick. You should know this. My advice is that please keep AI to the minimum. Especially for statement of purpose. A state of, as Salim Sab also mentioned, that statement of purpose is your life story. So AI doesn't know your life story. So you need to write your own words, that how you perceived your life and how your life has been shaped by the living experiences that you had. So AI will never be able to replicate your words in there, as far as I know AI so far. So please try to make sure in SOP you better write your own words and tell your own story instead of let AI take the lead onto it, because it will mislead the whole panel. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Hanook. We have one more question from a pharmacy student. She recently graduated and is in the job market. She doesn't have work experience. So her first question is, will or can this impact her application? Then her second question is that all her references are from her professors. So do they need to be somewhere from field? And then her third question is, she also does freelancing, maybe content writing. So should she mention this in her application?
Okay, I'll start with the third one first. That yes, definitely mention everything in your application, whatever you have been doing, because everything you does these days or you have been doing in the recent past adds to your application. Second, if you aren't working anywhere, so it is fine that if you have your 3 reference letters from those 3 academic reference letters, that's fine, because if you haven't been working anywhere. Third, that whether you don't have any job experience will impact your application or not. Not necessarily. There are only 2 fields where MBA and public policy. If you're going to do the MS, applying for the masters in MBA or masters in public policy, then you need to have, it's a mandatory requirement that you need to have 2 years work experience. Otherwise, we always encourage fresh graduates to apply for the master's program. Why not? Yes, if you want to apply for the PhD, it's always very good to have that. It's beneficial to have a work experience, so that, because we also want our PhD candidates, applicants, to be very clear about what do they want to do with their Fulbright grant. So your job experience adds to your application, but yes, definitely fresh graduates also apply, and we encourage them to apply.
Ji, thank you, Salim Saab. I don't see any more questions in the chat box. Over to you. It was really helpful, Salim Saab, to benefit from your institutional perspectives and your valuable insights from USEFP.
Thank you very much. I also enjoyed the session, and thank you very much once again for the invitation and to see you all in sharing the screen with you. So hope to see you soon, inshallah.
I wish more people would open up their screens so we can see them. That becomes far more, personal. These are like names, and of course, they make a difference. So, but thank you so much. Thank you, Salim, for being here with us and listening patiently to some of the wrong information that perhaps we gave. Thank you, Firasat, for doing a wonderful job and pulling in Salim to be here. Thank you, Sharoon, and of course, Subhamir. Your points were like dot on about interview and about some of the things that we need to be aware. But, in excitement and anxiety, we forget all those small points. And your well-being and your calm and being grounded is far more important. That's true. So thank you once and for all of you.